Good morning, children. Hearty welcome to all of you for today's session. Hope all are doing good and studying seriously. Okay, children, in this session, I'll discuss the third part of our lesson, the glimpses of India. As we know, our seventh lesson, glimpses of India, it has been divided into three parts. We completed the first two parts. Hope you read the lessons and had a look at the notes too. So if you are ready, let's start. As usual, before moving ahead with the lesson, let's have a look at the biography of our writer, Arup Kumar Datta, the writer of the lesson, Tea from Assam. Arup Kumar Datta is an Indian writer and journalist from Assam. He has written 16 books for adults and 17 adventurous novels for young people. So let's have a detailed biography of Arup Kumar Datta. Born on July 2nd at Johaj, Assam in eastern India, Arup Kumar Datta did his major and masters in English literature from Delhi University. He returned to Johaj to teach English at JB College for several years before taking up writing as a full-time career. Datta made a permanent place in the hearts of children with his very first book, Kaziranga Trail, in 1978, after which there was no looking back. The book not only won prestigious awards but was also translated into many languages, both Indian and foreign, including Japanese, German, Russian, Czech, Hungarian, and Italian. Kaziranga Trail was followed by other award-winning books, The Blind Witness, Smack, Revenge, The Lure of Shangri-La, which won a national award, and many others. Two of his books have been included in Literature of the World series by the Asahi Shimbun. Okay, children. So, now I'm going to give you a brief introduction of our lesson. Tea from Assam. The lesson is about two friends, Pranjol and Rajvi, who are traveling to Pranjol's hometown, Assam, for the summer vacation. As we know, Assam is known as the tea country because it has the largest concentration of plantations in the world. So during their journey, they discuss about the various legends that are known to have discovered tea. The story tells us about the popularity of tea as a beverage. Okay, so let's come to the introductory paragraph given in our textbook. Come to page number 94. I'll read it for you. Pranjal, a youngster from Assam, is Ranjveer's classmate at school in Delhi. Pranjal's father is the manager of a tea garden in Upper Assam, and Pranjal has invited Rajvi to visit his home during the summer vacation. So, let's move ahead with our textbook. Let me read the passage. Chai garam, garam chai, a vendor called out in a high-pitched voice. He came up to their window and asked, Chai saab? Give us 2 cups, Pranjal said. They sipped the steaming hot liquid. Almost everyone in their compartment was drinking tea too. Do you know that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world? Rajvi said. Phew, exclaimed Pranjal. Tea really is very popular. The train pulled out of the station. Pranjal buried his nose in his detective book again. Rajvi too was an ardent fan of detective stories, but at the moment he was keener on looking at the beautiful scenery. It was green everywhere. Rajvi had never seen so much greenery before. Then the soft green paddy fields gave way to tea bushes. It was a magnificent view. Against the backdrop of the densely wooded hills, a sea of tea bushes stretched as far as the eye could see. Dwarfing the tiny tea plants were tall, sturdy shade trees, and amidst the orderly rows of bushes busily moved doll-like figures. Okay, so let's see the explanation of this much. Listen, children. So the story begins from the scene of a railway station. Or we can say the story is set on a railway station. where a tea vendor asked the two friends whether they would like to buy some freshly made hot tea. So they decided to have 2 cups of tea. Who decided to have? Pranjal and Rajvi. They decided to have 2 cups of tea. More than that, have you seen the sentence? Almost everyone in their compartment was drinking tea. Did you get the sentence, children? And not only the two friends, but also almost everyone in that compartment, they were drinking tea. Okay, so they decided to have 2 cups of tea, and with this, Rajvi highlights the fact. Have you seen the sentence, children? He highlighted a fact about tea. Do you know that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world? So here, Rajveer highlights the fact that almost 80 crore cups of tea are consumed every day throughout the world. Then what's the response of Pranjal? Hugh. Have you seen the word W? H-E-W, its pronunciation is hue. W is silent. So what's the meaning of hue, children? Hue is a word used to express surprised. So Pranjal surprised. What did he say? Hugh, tea really is very popular. Yes, tea is really very popular. Then the train pulled out of the station. What's the meaning of pulled out? Left the station with its passengers. So the train pulled out of the station, or the train started moving. Pranjal got engaged in reading his detective book again. So what he was doing there, Pranjal? He buried his nose in his detective book again. So he got engaged in reading his detective book again. So he continued his reading. After tea, when the train pulled out of the station, he started reading his favorite detective book. Then what about the condition of Rajvi? Yes, both the two friends were huge fans of detective books. Have you seen the word ardent, children? A-R-D-E-N-D. Ardent means enthusiastic or passionate. So the two friends were huge fans of detective books. But at the moment, Rajveer chose to look at the scenery or the scenic beauty outside. At the moment, Rajveer chose to look at the scenic beauty outside. There was greenery all around. Yes, something Rajveer had never seen before. Have you seen the sentence, children? It was green everywhere. Rajveer had never seen so much greenery before. So, something Rajveer had never seen before. That was, there was greenery all around. After the green paddy fields came tea plantations. It was a beautiful sight. It was an amazing view. See the last paragraph, children. It was a magnificent view. It was an amazing view. So, as far as he was able to look, only tea bushes were visible. As far as he was able to look, only tea bushes were visible. So, the narrator compared it to a sea of tea bushes. So, as far as he was able, or Rajveer was able to look, only tea plantations or tea plantations were visible there. So, the narrator compared the tea plantations to a sea of tea bushes. Then in the background there were hills with a dense forest, and in between the tea plantations we can see the sentence, children. Dwarfing the tiny tea plants were tall, sturdy shade trees. So in between the small tiny tea plants there were tall, strong shady trees. Did you get the picture, children? So dwarfing, what's the meaning of dwarfing, children? Dwarfing means small tiny tea plants. So in between the small tiny tea plants there were tall and strong shade trees. So he could see tall and strong shade trees in between the small tiny tea bushes. And one more thing is there, children. Amidst the orderly rows of bushes busily moved doll-like figures. So in between the tiny tea plants he could see doll-like figures. What do you mean by doll-like figures? He could see women, or he could see women plucking tea leaves. Did you understand, children? See, it will be given afterwards. Come to page number 95. There in the last paragraph you can see. See, on both sides of the gravel road were acre upon acre of tea bushes, all neatly pruned to the same height. Groups of tea pluckers with the bamboo baskets on their backs, wearing plastic aprons, were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. Did you understand, children? So tea pluckers seem like dolls. So did you get the comparison, children? Here in this paragraph or in this last paragraph of page number 94, the narrator or Rajveer could see the tiny tea plants in between tall, strong shady trees, and one more thing, amidst the orderly rows of bushes, he could see busily moved doll-like figures. Doll-like figures means the tea pluckers. The tea pluckers are compared here to dolls. So in between, he could see doll-like figures. That is what is the tea pluckers, and tall, sturdy shade trees were there. Okay, so that is what is the content of the last paragraph. It was a magnificent view. It was an amazing view. Why, children? What's the reason? Because Rashveer could see in the background there were hills with a dense forest, and in between the tea plantation small tiny tea bushes. That is what is dwarfing. So in between the tall small not at all, children, in between the small tiny tea plants he could see tall strong shady trees, and at the same time busily moved doll-like figures also. What do you mean by doll-like figures? In between the tea bushes he could see tea pluckers. The tea pluckers are compared to dolls. Okay, so what's the reason, children? Since we know the train is moving, the narrator felt that the small bushes of tea, they also move with them, and at the same time the tall like figures are also moving along with them. Okay, so the doll like figures are the tea pluckers. Clear? Okay, let's move on to the next one. In the distance was an ugly building with the smoke blowing out of tall chimneys. Hey, a tea garden, Rashvi cried excitedly. Pranjal, who had been born and brought up on a plantation, didn't share Rashvi's excitement. Oh, this is tea country now, he said. Assam has the largest concentration of plantations in the world. You will see enough gardens to last you a lifetime. I have been reading as much as I could about tea, Rashvi said. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. What legends? Well, there is the one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. One day, a few leaves fell one day. Sorry, children. Yes, I have been reading as much as I could about tea. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. What legends? Well, there is one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. One day, a few leaves of the twigs burning under the pot fell into the water, giving it a delicious flavor. It is said they were tea leaves. Tell me another, scoffed Pranchal. We have an Indian legend too. Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditations. Tea plants grew out of the eyelids. The leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, banished sleep. Okay. So listen, children. Let's see the explanation. So in the distance was an ugly building with the smoke billowing out of tall chimneys. Have you seen the word, children? Billowing. Billowing means spread out. Billowing, spread out. So what's going on there, children? See, here is the explanation. Ranjvi saw an ugly building. In the distance, Ranjvi saw an ugly building with the smoke coming out of it through the tall chimneys. So Rajveer got excited while seeing a tea garden. But what about the case of Pranjal? He had been born and brought up in Assam, As we know, the speciality of Assam. We know what's the speciality of Assam. Assam has the concentration of plantation in the world. So Pranjal couldn't share the excitement of Ranjveer to its same level. What's the reason, children? Because Pranjal had been born and brought up in Assam. He was very familiar with the sceneries or the greenery of the place. So he couldn't share the excitement of Ranjveer to its same level. Then Pranjal told him that they entered Assam. Assam is known as tea country, the largest tea plantation in the world. So he told Ranjveer that he would see enough gardens when he went ahead. So it would give him a whole life memory in his life. So did you get the last sentence, children? Yes, Assam has the largest concentration of plantations in the world, and you will see enough gardens in to last you a lifetime. So here, Ranjveer listened to Pranjal. Why, children? Because Pranjal told Ranjveer that he would see enough gardens when he went ahead. So it would give him a whole life memory in his life. Who continued? Pranjal continued. It would give him a whole life memory in his life. Okay. So before visiting the tea country, Ranjveer read a lot about tea and how it was discovered. See, here is the sentence, children. I have been reading as much as I could about tea. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. What do you mean by legends, children? Legends, traditional stories or myths. So before visiting the tea country, Ranjveer had been reading, or Ranjveer had started to read a lot about tea and how it was discovered. So there were numerous legends related to it. So he said, Ranjveer told him a story that's related to a Chinese emperor. The Chinese emperor, he had a habit of drinking boiled water. Once, when the water was boiling, few leaves fell into it accidentally, and it tasted delicious. So it is said that those were tea leaves. So that is what is the story related to a Chinese emperor. So what's it, children? There is one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. So one day, a few leaves of the twigs burning under the pot fell into the water, giving it a delicious flavor. It is said they were tea leaves. Then Pranjal scoffed. Tell me another. See, what's the meaning of scoff, children? S-C-O-F-F-E-D. Scoffed Pranjal. So, scornfully asked, or he asked in a mocking way. He asked in a mocking way. So, see the sentence. Tell me another story. Scoffed Pranjal. Scoff means scornfully asked or spoke in a mocking way. So Ranjol told another story about an Indian legend. What's the meaning of legend, children? Indian legend. If it is related to a person, we can say the meaning is like this: extremely famous person. So now Ranjol told another story about an Indian legend. An extremely famous person named Bodhidharma. He was a Buddhist monk who cut off his eyelids because he used to feel sleepy while meditating. Have you seen the sentence, children? See, here is the last paragraph. We have an Indian legend too. Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, Buddhist monk, cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditation. So, why did he cut his eyelid? He cut off his eyelids because he used to feel sleepy while meditating. So it is said that tea plants grew out of his eyelids. Did you understand, children? It is said that tea plants grew out of his eyelids. The leaves of those plants helped in banishing sleep while consuming them with hot water. So did you get the important, children? The leaves of those plants helped in banishing sleep. What's the meaning of banishing? B-A-N-I-S-H-E-D. Banish means to get rid of. B-A-N-I-S-H, banish, to get rid of. So it helped, the tea leaves of those plants or the leaves of those plants helped in banishing sleep while consuming them with hot water. So that's the speciality of those leaves. Then what's the meaning of banish? To get rid of. Then Ranjveer highlighted a few more facts that he exposed from his reading about tea and its origin. Tea was first drunk in China as far back as 2700 BC. Did you get the sentence, children? It's written in your book. See, here it is. Tea was first drunk in China. Ranjveer added as far as back as 2700 BC. In fact, words such as tea, chai and chini are from Chinese. Tea came to Europe only in the 16th century and was drunk more as medicine than as beverage. Children, Beverage, its correct pronunciation, beverage. Okay, let's continue. The train clattered into Mariani Junction. The boys collected their luggage and pushed their way to the crowded platform. Pranjal's parents were waiting for them. Soon they were driving towards Dekebari, the tea garden managed by Pranjal's father. An hour later, the car veered sharply off the main road. They crossed a cattle bridge and entered Dekebari tea estate. On both sides of the gravel road were acre upon acre of tea bushes, all neatly pruned to the same height. Groups of tea pluckers with bamboo baskets on their backs, wearing plastic aprons, were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. So here, in the first paragraph, Rajvi highlighted a few facts that he explored from his reading. As we know, there was a sentence. See, here it is. Yes, I have been reading as much as I could about tea. That is what is he had been reading, or he had explored a few facts about tea. So he continues. Rajveer continued. Okay, what it is? Listen. Rajveer highlighted a few facts more about tea that he explored from his reading about tea and its origin. So what he's trying to say, children? Yes, tea was first drunk in German. What do you mean by that? Tea was first drunk in China, not in German, children. Tea was first drunk in China as far back as 2700 BC. Have you seen the first sentence? As far back as 2700 BC. See, the words like tea, chai, chini, all these words are originated from Chinese language. So tea was introduced to Europe quite late in the 16th century. 16th century. So, first of all, it was drunk in China as far as back as 2700 BC. But what about the case of Europe? Tea was introduced to Europe quite late in the 16th century, where it was considered as a medicine, not as a drink. What's the meaning of beverage, children? Beverage means drink. So, in Europe, it was considered as a medicine and then a drink, than a beverage. Not a beverage, children, beverage. See, tea came to Europe only in the 16th century and was drunk more as medicine than as beverage. Okay, next paragraph. The train clattered into Mariani Junction. Clattered means stopped by making a sound. So, as we know that while trains stop, there will be a sound of the brake. So, the train stopped by making a sound. The train stopped at Mariani Junction. The boys reached their destination, so they collected their luggage and moved out of the train. Then Pranjal's parents were waiting there. It was a crowded platform. Soon they were driving towards Dekebari. Have you seen the sentence, children? Yes, Pranjal's parents were waiting for them. Soon they were driving towards Dekebari. What do you mean by Dekebari? Dekebari tea estate, the tea garden managed by Pranjal's father. As we know, it's given in your introductory paragraph. Pranjal's father, he is the manager of a tea garden in Upper Assam. So, what's the name of his tea garden? Dekebari tea estate. So, soon they were driving towards Dekebari tea estate, the tea garden managed by Pranjal's father. An hour later, the car veered sharply off the main road. So, an hour later means after an hour, the car, it changed its direction. Why, children? Because it moved away from the main road. That is what is an hour later, the car changed its direction. Veered, V-E-E-R-E-D. What's the meaning of veered? Changed direction. So, after an hour, the car changed its direction off the main road. So, the car changed its direction from the main road to a gravel road. And now, they crossed a cattle bridge and entered the Kebari tea estate. See, here is the picture of cattle bridge, children. Cattle bridge. A cattle bridge is a bridge that is built over a ditch. The bridge consists of bars which are made of metal. This bridge allows the smooth passage of pedestrians and other vehicles without any hindrance. People and vehicles can use this bridge to cross obstacles like rivers, railways or canals. You know, you are very familiar with the cattle bridge. So now, they crossed a cattle bridge and entered the Kebari tea estate. Then, on both sides of the gravel road were acre upon acre of tea bushes. Yes, the tea garden. It was stretched upon a vast area of land. All the tea bushes were cut to the same height. Have you seen the children? All neatly pruned. Pruned. What's the meaning of pruned, children? Cut. All are neatly cut to the same height. All the tea bushes were cut to the same height, and they had been caretaken of. Okay, so from this we understood that all the bushes, they had been well taken, or they had been taken care of. Well, they had been taken care of. So all the tea bushes were cut to the same height and they had been taken care of. Clear? So the tea pluckers, have you seen the last sentence, children? As I told you earlier, groups of tea pluckers with the bamboo baskets on their backs, wearing plastic aprons, were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. Then the tea pluckers, what they were doing there, as we know, in page number 94, in the last paragraph, as I told you, they were compared to doll-like figures. Okay, so the tea pluckers, what they were doing there, they were seen wearing apron and carrying the bamboo baskets on their backs in order to pluck the freshly sprouted leaves. Sprouted means grown, the freshly grown leaves. So what they were doing there, they were carrying a bamboo basket on their backs to pluck the freshly sprouted leaves. Okay. Pranjol's father slowed down to allow a tractor. Have you seen the sentence, children? The last slide. Pranjol's father slowed down to allow a tractor, pulling a trailer, a load of tea leaves to pass. This is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Rajveer asked. So it lasts from May to July and yields the best tea. You seem to have done your homework before coming, Pranjol's father said in surprise. Yes, Mr. Barua, Rajveer admitted, but I hope to learn much more while I am here. Okay, so here is the last slide of this lesson. Let's see the explanation. Pranjol's father, what did he do? He slowed down his car to allow a tractor to pass that was loaded with tea leaves. Did you get the first sentence, children? Pranjol's father slowed down his car to pass a tractor. A tractor which was pulling a trailer. It was loaded with tea leaves. Okay, so Ranjvi asked Mr. Barua. Who is Mr. Barua, children? Pranjol's father. This is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Ranjvi asked. So what did he ask, children? Is this the second flush or the second season or the sprouting period? Am I right? Yes, it lasts, he continued. Who continued? Rajveer continued. It lasts from May to July and yields the best tea. So, who continued, children? Rajveer continued. It lasts from May to July and gives excellent yield. Correct? Mr. Barua. So, who asked these questions, children? This is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Who asked? Rajvi asked. Okay, why, children? As we know, he had been reading a lot from his book. So, the second information he had given, what it is, children? It lasts from May to July. So, the season lasts from May to July and it gives the excellent yield. Or by this season, in between May to July, it will give excellent yield. Okay, so the tea leaves will give excellent yield during this season. Which season? From May to July. So by hearing this, Pranjol's father, he felt impressed and he replied, I think you have done your homework well before your journey. Yes, Rajveer admitted. So, what did he say, children? You seem to have done your homework before coming. I think you have done your homework well before your journey. So, Rajveer admitted, yes, Mr. Barwa, but I hope to learn much more while I am here. So, what did he want, children? Actually, he wanted to learn much more about the tea plantations while he was there. So, that is what is the completion of our lesson, children. Here comes an end of our lesson. Read the lesson thoroughly and write down the notes in your notebook and just read it, children. So, don't waste the time. Make it useful, children. What's the reason? Because a lot more lessons are there. I told you, you have to read the lessons daily. You have to read the lessons daily and go through the previous lessons that we have learned earlier. Okay, children. Thank you for your cooperation. Have a nice day.